Are you living deliberately or accidentally? Are you living with purpose and vision, or are you just another NPC, a non-player character stuck in a loop? When I was 14 years old, I prayed fervently on my knees for God to use me as a missionary in Hollywood, the movie industry. I wanted my life to count for something, and I laid the groundwork by prayer. By the age of 24, I was working at the House of Mouse, better known as the Walt Disney Company. On my cubicle wall inside the Mapo building, I pinned a sheet of paper containing about 15 survival principles. Larry Poland's ministry to me was summed up in its wisdom, and I memorized and lived by these guidestones. I can confidently say that if you live by them, you'll experience amazing things like I did. The life experience of a man is different than that of a woman, and the life experience of a married person is different than that of a single person. So please remember that I am only the reader. Larry was a married father, a bold leader, and he moved in highly educated circles. You will hear my voice, but these are Larry's thoughts and testimonies. Before you dive into this book, you should definitely familiarize yourself with the first 6 chapters of the Bible's book of Daniel. Daniel was like me in the sense that he was unwed and childless, so he was able to be totally devoted to God in a way that a married person can only dream of. Children are a great blessing, but not the only blessing in life, and Daniel had a place in history far better than a big family. I'd like to be like Daniel in that respect too. The deeper you dig into the book of Daniel, the more your mind will be blown. So, first read Daniel chapters 1 through 6, and then listen to Larry's insightful observations and applications. Find a way to do them in your life. Lion's Den Survival Principles for Media Professionals and Everyone Else by Larry Poland. Living life successfully isn't easy or difficult. It is impossible. There is one part of this fact that God utilizes. We are such arrogant creatures that if living successfully were, at any level, achievable through human effort, we'd pound our chests and boast of our success. I know this to be true, because that is exactly what we do so long as life goes well for us. But it is in our struggles, conflicts, and adversity that we often fulfill God's plan for our lives, turning to Him for help and, in the process, building a deep and intimate relationship with the Maker we typically ignore while things are going well. It is when we get painted into a corner that the only way out is up. No human being understood this dynamic more than the Hebrew prophet Daniel. Captured and taken as a slave with some of his teenaged friends to Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon, life was not pleasant. In that great city of the ancient world, Daniel faced a ruthless regime hostile to his people and his faith. But in non-negotiable reliance on the God of Abraham, the true and living God, he conquered his circumstances, survived 3 regime changes, and was still serving Jehovah in his 80s. Lesser men succumbed to their captors and their pagan ways. Daniel created a legacy that is proverbial the world over. Betrayed by his jealous peers in the kingdom in which he served as vizier and prime minister, Daniel ended up on death row. Daniel and the Lion's Den is a story of divine deliverance that thrills the most blasé and challenges the faithless to explore the one who shut the lions' mouths. Lion's Den. There are many environments in contemporary life which are hostile to people of deep faith, especially the biblical Christian faith. Often mocked in the culture, ridiculed in the workplace, lampooned and slandered in TV sitcoms, portrayed in damning ways in films, and hated and slaughtered by jihadists, devout followers of Jesus Christ are increasingly marginalized by society. This is not new. Ask any Jewish person who has been or is now the object of scorn, violence, or even plots for torture and annihilation. Daniel is one of millions of Jews over the centuries who understands, quote, being thrown to the lions as the result of an evil conspiracy. Interesting, isn't it, that believers in Jehovah, both Christians and Jews, get such treatment? Survival principles. There is a way to survive in hostile, even life-threatening situations. In this book, we learn from the masters. Babylonian culture was so contemptuous of the faith of Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah that their masters forced them to give up their names that honored Jehovah and take names honoring pagan deities. Belteshazzar, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Then the whip, the scimitar, the fiery furnace, or the lion's den awaited upon any evidence of religious nonconformity. But in violation of conventional wisdom from the culture, these brave men staked their faith in the deliverance of their God, if not deliverance here and now, in the life hereafter. Either way, they survived. For media professionals, one of America's most hostile environments for unflinching followers of Jesus Christ is the entertainment industry. Having served since 1980 in this industry in both Hollywood and New York, I can tell you honestly that the people who run entertainment are often bitter enemies of the Christian faith and of Christians, especially evangelicals. Jesus Christ is a commonly used explicative. This book's content was originally written for the Christian faithful working in media. It was a column in a publication by Master Media International named The Median. It was well received. A major market news anchor whom I had never met before told me how the column had sustained her in her faith for years during some tempestuous times in her personal life and career. And everyone else. When believers outside the media began writing with words of gratitude and requesting permission to reprint individual columns or the entire series in their publications, I felt I should make it available to the Christian community at large. So, pretend that you work for a film studio, a television network, an internet company, or a print media corporation. Or just look over the shoulder of those who do work in media and learn from the timeless divine principles that have helped them survive. Sooner or later, you'll face your own fiery furnace or be thrown to the lions. Survive and conquer. As you rely on God for deliverance, you will face lions that look much like the ones portrayed throughout this book. That doleful look is of a hungry beast that, for reasons he doesn't understand, cannot get his teeth into you or his jaws around you. Something has given him lockjaw. Better yet, someone has given him lockjaw.